Well, that's not good. Anyway, today we're going to be covering unique menus that, well, are obviously unique to each player using the object scope. And it was a bit buggy and weird, so we had to figure out a fix, and it has been found. So everything works right, and I'll show you how to set it up in today's video. So let's jump right on that, I think. There's no map setup because my example more than likely won't match what you've got going on in your map, but we'll get to that when we come to it. So to start this off, the event I'm going to use is an Events Players on Custom Input tab. Now we need to set up the menu itself, so go to Variables Advanced and grab Declare Menu Variable. This is going to go really similar to the original tutorial, but there are a few differences. I'm going to name this one Player Menu. And the scope is going to be object this time, and that's super important. The initial value can remain empty though. The next thing we need to do is go to UI to the very bottom and grab Show Menu to Player. And go ahead and plug this in here to your event, and then plug player into player of this node and make sure that the visibility is set to true. Let's go back to Variables Advanced and grab Get Menu Variable. Like I said, very similar to the last tutorial. And the identifier needs to match, and the scope does too. Go ahead and plug the value into the menu here, so that way it knows that this is the menu that's going to be shown to the player who uses the custom input. But there's one last thing we need to do. We need to take our player input and plug it into our object scope here, or our player output. Our player reference, that's what we need to plug into the object of the get menu variable node. This is so that the menu is being pulled from this specific player and then shown to this specific player. That way the player will only see their unique menu and no one else's, or another menu you have bound to a button or something else in your map. So that's ready. But there is something we need to set up real quick because it is bugged. I'll explain that in just a little bit. But the fix is simply grabbing on-game start from the regular events category, and then grabbing from the players category, get all players. Now go to logic and grab for each player. Plug it in here to your event. Just move down here. There we go. Nice and neat. Plug the players into the object. So now for every player in the game, we're going to be doing something, and the thing we're doing is setting the menu. So let's go to Variables Advanced and grab Set Menu Variable. We're going to execute that per player, so it's going to happen for every player in the game. We need to make sure that our identifier matches. I almost skipped over that. And then go to the object scope, just like our Declare Menu Variable node. The value can remain empty this time. What we're going to be plugging in though is current player. We're going to plug that into the object. So now every player in the game is going to be assigned a menu. And that's how. But this is only for players at the start of the game. If you have a game mode that allows players to join mid-game, then you'll also need to include this, which is on player joined, from the events players category. Since this already has all the information we need, we can duplicate the set menu variable and just plug it in down here. Just like this. Plug the player reference into the object of the set menu variable node, and then you're good. That will fix the bug. The bug was simply where you could add things to the menu and even select it, but when you selected it, it would get lost in limbo. The script would stop immediately right there, and it would not succeed or fail in selecting the menu item. It would just stop, and I don't know why, but it's only because of the object scope for these nodes. It doesn't do it on local or global. But now that we got that out of the way, we actually need to add some things to the menu, or add a way to add things to the menu. So let's get right to that. In my example, I've already got these saved here. They black boxed me, unfortunately, on these, but I have my menu items already set up. So if you want to know how to set up the menu items, that is what the original tutorial is for. It's very imperative that you watch that first. Since this is just a more advanced version that uses a lot of the original tutorial as a base. So I'd recommend, if you want to know how to set up menu items, to watch that. I'm going to go ahead and reset these up since they black boxed me, and I'll be right back. Okay, so they're all set up again. You'll see that I'm using AI types because that's what my example is going to be using. But now that we have these set up, we can move on with the script that will actually add them to the player's menu, which, like I said, my example is a little different than yours, but so I'll just skip until we get to the part that involves adding the items to the menu. Okay, so we didn't have to add too much. Just a little quick rundown here is whenever an AI is taken out, it's going to find out if it was a grunt, jackal, or an elite, and then it will add a menu item based on what was taken out. So let's actually get to the part where we add something to the menu. Grab get menu variable again, and we have to grab another one. We can't just use the same get variable like we can for other variables because we're using the object scope. If we were using global or local, we could just drag it from up here and then plug it into the nodes down here that ask for a menu. But since we're using object scope, we can't. We have to create a new one. But no big deal. We have it here now. So plug object into your player reference here of your script. That would be getting the item added to their menu, and then we can move on. So go to UI and grab add menu item. Plug that into your script that would add the menu item to the menu, and then make sure that the menu input is connected to your get menu variable here, so that way it's the unique menu to the player that did the thing. That's the menu that's having the item added now. Now the menu item, which is why we need to grab get menu item from variables advanced, just like the previous tutorial, but we're going to make sure that we cover everything because there's a slight difference that I'm going to cover. The scope can remain global since it's a menu item that will still do the same. It will function the same for each player that uses it. The only difference is it in the player's menu or not, or is it in a different order and all that stuff. But it's still going to do the same thing if selected, so no worries there. That's why it can remain global, so we can leave that alone. Go ahead and plug that into our menu item here. And the menu index, I wish I covered it on my last tutorial. I don't think I did, but I found a better method to adding in items to your menu in a more flawless method that, or more smooth, not flawless exactly, but more smooth method. So what we're going to do, and I'll explain it when I get it done, we're going to grab an add node from the math category. And then we're going to make sure that operand B is set to 1. Move this here. We need one more node, and it's not this. We can't use get list size because we're going to be trying to get how many menu items are in this menu. We can't plug that in here, which is strange. But there is the equivalent node to that we can use, and it's called get generic list size from the list category. That will actually allow us to plug in our menu items here and find out how many are present in the menu when this happens. The item count, we're going to put into operand A, and then plug that result into the menu index. So what we're going to have happen here, what this does is it finds out how many items are in the menu, and let's say there's 2. Well, that means there's 2 already occupying slot 1 and 2 of the menu. So we're going to add 1 to that and make sure that the new item is now placed at menu index 3. This will allow every player to have a unique menu based on what's added to their menu because they do it in a different order or they get different things in there. But it doesn't add them in arbitrary places like, let's say I put menu index 3 on here. It will always be index 3 no matter what player grabs it. So they would have a mostly empty menu. Let's say they had like 4 and 2. So they would have slot 1 and 3 that are completely empty, and it makes their menu look strange. But this allows a smoother method of adding items to your menu. So that way they don't leave too many empty spaces and just adds it incrementally. Now that we have that out of the way, we can just kind of copy this multiple times. I'm going to go ahead and put this here. It's probably best if I do it like this. There we go. And then do it one more time. Okay, so we have all of our identifiers matching. We have it set up. All we need to do is plug some things in, and that means we plug the menu back here for both of these nodes. We're setting it up the exact same way that we did for these. So make sure that menu goes back to where it goes, and the menu index goes to our result here. Perfect. Now all of our items will be added correctly, but do keep in mind using this method, it will, if you, let's say you do the same thing again, it will add the exact same item into your menu at a different index. So if I take out 2 grunts, it's going to add 2 grunts to my menu. And that's okay because I have it set up that way, but if you don't, there's a way to stop that. Last but not least, let's get these menu items to do something whenever we select them, because this right here allows us to do that. Otherwise, we could select it all day long and they wouldn't actually function. But now that they do, let's just make sure they do. Let's go to Events Players and grab On Menu Item Selected. And this is going to be practically identical to the previous tutorial. So I'm just going to speed through this real quick to make sure, and I'll just cover anything that's any specific changes like the object scope related things. Okay, that was a lot of stuff I did there really quickly. Just a quick rundown. I made sure to plug my player reference here into the object scope, and that's pretty much the only thing different with the object scope related menu variable here. And we plug that value of the menu in here, and it's pretty much the same from that point on. As long as it's the right menu, which is if true, then it will find out what menu item it is, and if it's the correct menu item, what I'm going to have happen is it's going to show the menu index number. So it's going to show menu item 1 no matter what option it is. So if I get a grunt first, it'll show menu item 1. But if I get a jackal first, it'll show menu item 1 in the kill feed. It will show whatever menu index it is regardless of what order they are, because that's the way I have it set up perfectly to do that. So without anything else, we could actually test this out and see what happens. Okay, so we have an empty menu. That's fine. Let's add some things to it. I'm going to take out the jackal first. I now have a jackal, and it is in index 1. Let's do grunt next. Jackal still 1. Grunt is now in index 2. It was added in after. And now we can do the elite. Elite is number 3, while jackal is still 1, and the grunt is still 2. Well, let's get a different order going. Let's go elite. No, let's go grunt this time. Grunt is number 1. Jackal is 2. And elite is 3 again. Last but not least, let's give it another run and see what about elite being first this time. Yes, elite is number 1. Jackal 2 and grunt 3. So each player will have a different order and unique to themselves depending on what item is being added due to what they do on the map. But they will each obviously have their own individual unique menu set up this way. So without anything else, that should just about cover it. Ooh, well, that didn't work out. Anyway, that should just about cover the unique radial menus for players. There's a lot of things still to cover about radial menus, which I'll get to eventually, because I plan on doing an entire video series on how to set up a roguelike, which is something I've been working on, and radial menus came just in time. So, until the next one, I'll be trying to find my way out of this place, wherever it is.